Hello everyone. Today, I will introduce the concept of product mix with constraint, an important topic in management accounting that help businesses make better decisions when resources are limited. Okay, first, let's understand the meaning of product mix. Product mix refers to the combination of different products that a company produces and sells. Many businesses offer multiple products, and management must decide how much of each product should be produced in order to maximize profit. Next, we need to understand the meaning of a constraint, also known as a limiting factor. Constraint is any resource that restricts a company's ability to produce and sell products. Common constraint includes limited machine hours, labor hours, raw materials, production space, or budget. Because these resources are scarce, companies cannot always produce all products in the quantities they desire. Businesses face limited resources for several reasons. Raw materials may be difficult to obtain, skilled workers may be limited, production equipment may have limited capacity, or financial resources may be insufficient. As a result, management must carefully allocate available resources to achieve the best possible outcome. Product mix decisions are important in management accounting because they help businesses maximize profits under resource constraints. Instead of focusing only on contribution per unit, managers evaluate contribution per limiting factor. This allows them to prioritize products that generate the highest return from the scarce resource available. One journal article related to product mix is Product Mix Decisions Under Capacity Constraints by Key and Smith in the year of 2000. The study discusses how companies can improve profitability by selecting the optimal combination of products when production capacity is limited. The findings show that the management accounting techniques, particularly contribution analysis and constraint-based decision making, can help managers allocate resources more effectively and achieve higher profits. In conclusion, product mix with constraint is a decision-making technique used when resources are limited. Understanding product mix, constraint, and resource allocation helps businesses make informed decisions and maximize profitability. This foundation will help us understand the calculation methods and practical applications that will be discussed by the next presenter.
So far, you've heard about what product mix is, why constraint matters from Zarif. Now, I want to show you how we actually make the decision, the step-by-step calculations that tells a business which product to prioritize when resources are limited. By the end of my section, you'll know exactly how to work out the optimal product mix using just a few simple formulas. Now, let's start with the foundation of all good CDP analysis, the contribution margin per unit or CM per unit. Every product a company sells earns a certain amount after covering its variable costs. We call this the contribution margin. The formula is simple. Selling price minus variable cost equals to contribution margin per unit. Contribution margin per unit. CM per unit is a fundamental key in break-even analysis. It can help to determine the selling price range of a product, the profit levels that can be expected from the sales, and the sales structures paid to sales team members, distributors, or commission agents. Now, you might be thinking, so I should just produce the product with the highest CM per unit. Well, that is technically not wrong. However, if we have a constraint that changes everything, this brings us to the most important calculation in this topic, contribution per limiting factor. When a business has a scarce resource, for example, machine hours, we can't look at contribution per unit anymore. We need to ask a different question. How much contribution do we earn for every unit of scarce resources we use? The formula is contribution per unit divided by units of limiting factor used. Now that we have contribution per limiting factor, we can rank our products. The steps are straightforward. First, identify your limiting factors. This can be machine hours, labor hours, etc. Second, calculate contribution per unit for each product. Third, calculate contribution per limiting factor for each product. And fourth, rank the product based on the contribution per limiting factor from highest to lowest. Fifth, determine quantity to produce by allocating your limited resources starting from the top ranked product and produce as much as demand allows, then move on to the next product. Six, stop when the resources runs out. Whatever combinations you end up with, that will be your optimal product mix. So to better illustrate this, I will show you how this plays out with our full example. We have 100 machine hours available and a maximum demand of 50 units for product C and 30 for product B and 30 for product A. We start with product C, our top ranked product. 50 units times 1 hour uses 50 hours to produce the unit to produce 50 units. We have 50 hours remaining. Next, product B. 30 units times 1 hour uses 30 hours to produce the 30 units. Now we only have 20 hours left. Finally, product A, demand is 40 units, but each needs 2 hours to produce. With only 20 hours left, we can only produce 10 units. So our optimal product mix is 50 units of C, 30 of B, and 10 of A. The total contribution will look something like this. Product C gives 1,250, product B gives 600, and product A gives 300. That's a total of 2,150 of contribution. And this is the best we can do with the 100 hours machine hours. Any other combination would give us less. In conclusion, when a limiting factor exists, contribution per unit alone is not enough to make a good decision. We need contribution per limiting factor to rank our products correctly. From that ranking, we allocate our scarce resource in order, and the result is the optimal product mix, the combination that maximizes total contribution. The limiting factor doesn't just restrict production, it forces us to make a smarter decision about what to produce. And now, I'll hand over to Wan, who will cover business example. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. My name is Danish Jazmie, and I am the member 3 of this group. In these sessions, I will be presenting a real business example to illustrate how the concept of product mix with constraints is applied in the practice. Specifically, I will walk you through a case study of Malaysian SMEs, explain how the company identified its limiting factors, determine the optimal product mix, and how this decision led to improved profitability. Alright, the company and the problem. So the company here is the ABC Sdn Bhd, a small and medium enterprise located in Pahang, Malaysia. This company is a drinking water manufacturer that produces 4 main products, which is bottled water in size of 250 ml, 500 ml, 1500 ml, and 5500 ml. Like many manufacturing companies, ABC Sdn Bhd operates under limited resources. In this case, the key constraints is machine hours. The company does not have the sufficient machine capacity in order to produce maximum quantities of all 4 products simultaneously. This creates a critical management decisions which products or combinations of products should be prioritized in order to maximize the profit. Without a structured approach, the company risks wasting its limited resources on products that do not generate the highest return per machine hours used. This is precisely the kind of problem that the product mix with constraints analysis is designed to solve. So, the third slide is about the solution and the outcome. To address this problem, the management applied a linear programming model to determine the optimal product mix. The key principle used here aligns with what member 2 has explained, which is products are ranked based on their contribution per limiting factors, which is this case is contribution per machine hours. Not simply the highest selling price or highest contribution unit or highest contribution per unit, but after the analysis, the 250 ml bottle was ranked first as it generates the highest contribution per machine hours. Although the 5,500 milliliters bottle earns more profit, it consumes significantly more machine time, making it the least efficient use of the constraints. Therefore, it was ranked last. By following this ranking and allocating machine hours accordingly, the company was able to improve its profit by up to 1.9% while also reducing production costs by between 5 to 10%. This demonstrates that when a business makes a decisions based on the limiting factors rather than institution alone, resources are utilized more efficiently and profitability will increase. This case, this case study is drawn from a journal article by Safwa Muhammad Baki and Jackie Chang, published in 2021 in the International Journal of Industrial Management by University Malaysia Pahang. The article applied linear programming to a real Malaysian SME and confirmed that structured product mix optimizations leads to measurable improvement in company performance. Alright, for the summary, the case of ABC Student Berhad clearly demonstrates that identifying the correct limiting factors and ranking product accordingly allows a business to make better, more profitable decisions. Simply producing what seems most valuable on the surface is not always the optimal strategy. With that, I will now pass the presentation to member 4, who will discuss the advantages or limitations and a critical review of the product mix with constraints approach. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum everyone. My name is Muhammad Amsyar bin Asmezi, and today I will be presenting the fourth part of our topics, which is the product mix with constraint, advantages, limitation, and a critical review. Let's begin with the advantages of the product mix with constraint. The first advantage is better utilization of limited resources. In many businesses, resources such as machine hours, labor hours, or raw materials are limited. Product mix analysis help managers to allocate these scarce resources to products that generate the highest contribution. The second advantage is increased profitability. By focusing on a product that provides the highest contribution per limiting factor, companies can maximize their total contribution and profit, even when the resources are constrained. The third advantage uh, is the better planning and efficiency. Product mix decisions support production planning and scheduling while reducing waste and idle capacity. As a result, resources are used more effectively and operations become more efficient. Overall, product mix analysis helps the organization achieve the highest possible return from their available resources. To support these advantages, I review a study by Cousin and Özdemir titled "Using the Theory of the Constraint for Reaching Optimal Product Mix and Application in the Funeral Sector." The op- the objective of the study was to determine the optimal product mix by identifying production bottlenecks. The researchers found that bottlenecks were successful in identified and resources were allocated to the most profitable product. As the result, profitability increased by approximately 42%. This study clearly demonstrates that effective product mix decision can significantly improve organizational performance and profitability. Despite its advantage, product mix analysis also has several limitations. First, businesses may face the multiple constraints at the same time, making decision making more complex. Second one, the customer demand can change unexpectedly, as a product that is profitable today may not remaining profitable in the future due to changing market condition. The third one is product mix analysis depend heavily on the accurate cost and capacity information. If the data used is inaccurate, manager make a poor decision. And then lastly, this approach may ignore the qualitative factors such as the customer satisfaction, product quality, competitive strategy, and the long-term organizational objective, and these factors are difficult to measure financially but remain important for business success. So the second article I reviewed by Chia Damrong and the colleague titled Dynamic Bottlenecks Elimination in a Metals Manufacturing Line Using Theory of Constraint. The researcher found that the bottleneck was successfully reduced and the production efficiency improved. However, after one bottleneck was eliminated, the new bottlenecks emerged elsewhere in the production process. These findings suggest that constraints are dynamic rather than permanent. Therefore, managers must continuously monitor the operational and update their product mix decision whenever business conditions change. The key lesson from this study is that the products mix decisions are not at one-time activity but an ongoing management process. And after comparing the articles, several conclusions can be drawn. All of the study agree that a product digitalization can improve profitability and the resource utilization. However, the approach the issue from the different perspective. The first article focused on the profitability improvement. The second article highlight the challenge of changing the bottlenecks, and the third article emphasized that strategic factor should also be considered when selecting a product mix. In my opinion, the third article provides the most comprehensive perspective because it recognizes that financial calculation alone are not enough. A manager should also consider a market demand and customer preference and a long-term business strategy. All in all, the product mix with a constraint is an important management accounting tool that helps organization maximize profit using limited resources. It improves the resources allocation, profitability, and operational efficiency. However, manager must also recognize its limitation, including multiple constraints, changing demand, and the need for accurate data. Therefore, organizations should regularly update their data continuously, monitor bottlenecks, consider both financial and non-financial factors, and align the product mix decision with their overall business strategy. So for the last slide, I have the reference of the three article that I review. So thank you for your attention. That's all from my part.
Now that we have heard about the advantages and limitations of product mix decision, let me bring this topic closer to home by looking at how Malaysian businesses actually apply this concept in real life. In Malaysia, small and medium enterprise or SME make up a very big part of our economy. According to the Department of Statistics Malaysia 2019, SME represent 98.5% of all businesses in Malaysia, and they contributed 521.7 billion ringgit to our national GDP in 2018. With so many small businesses competing every day, managing limited resources is a very real challenge. For example, a small food business in Malaysia, like a kuih or snack manufacturer, may only have one oven, limited worker, or a small budget. They cannot produce everything at the same time. So, they must decide which product gives the most profit using the least amount of their limited resource. This is exactly the product mix with constraint concept that Zarif introduced at the beginning of our presentation. This is not just for food businesses. Malaysian manufacturing companies also face the same problem. For instance, the electrical and electronic sector is one of Malaysia's leading industries, making up to 24.5% of the manufacturing sector's total production. These factories produce many different products but share the same machines and worker. So, choosing the right product mix, just like what Fawwaz explained in his calculation method, is very important to maximize their profit. The journal article that I would like to highlight is titled A Linear Programming Model for Product Profit Maximization in a Small Medium Enterprise Company, published in the International Journal of Industrial Management (IJIM) by University of Malaysia Pahang. This study focused on a Malaysian SME called ABC Senderan Berhad, a drinking water manufacturing company located in Pahang. Just like the business example that one shared earlier, this company also had to decide which products to focus on when resources were limited. The study used a linear programming model to find the best product mix that would maximize the company's profit. This study also found that the most SME in Malaysia do not yet use proper tools like product mix analysis. This supports what Amsyar mentioned about the limitation that businesses sometimes ignore the right methods and rely on guessing instead of proper data. So, to conclude our group presentation, product mix with constraint is a very practical and important topic, not just in theory, but in real business situation. When a company has limited resources, they cannot produce everything. They must choose wisely, like focusing on product that give the highest contribution margin per unit of the limiting factor. From what Zarif explained about the basic concept to Fawwaz calculation method to one's real business example and Amsyar's critical review, we can clearly see that these decision-making tools help businesses use their resources better, increase profit, and plan more efficiently. For Malaysian businesses, whether they are big manufacturer or a small food entrepreneur, applying this concept can make a real difference. And for us, as future accountants and business professionals, understanding product mix decision will help us guide companies towards smarter and more profitable choices. Thank you for listening to our presentation. We hope it has been informative and useful for everyone. Thank you.